Hey guys, today we're going to talk about organic compounds. And there are four main organic compounds that you absolutely need to know for both the AP and the SAT too. The first is carbohydrates, next is lipids, proteins, and lastly, nucleic acids. These four organic compounds are essential and are seen nearly everywhere in biology. First, let's talk about carbohydrates. In terms of structure, carbohydrates consist of three parts or elements. First, carbon, next, hydrogen, and lastly, oxygen. A carbohydrate usually looks something along the lines of this. Uh, Usually, you'll see carbon having four bonds with other elements, and that's one thing we see carbon a lot in the environment because of its versatility and its ability to make these four bonds. And usually, you'll see hydrogen strapped onto the side, maybe with an OH occasionally. And this is the hydroxyl group at the end of a carbon, and then usually you have something along the lines of this. In terms of function, carbohydrates serve one main purpose, and that is quick energy. This energy is essential to processes like the cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Uh, you'll see it throughout my videos. There are three main classes of carbohydrates. The first is monosaccharides. Monosaccharides have a chemical formula C6H12O6 and are considered to be the building blocks of all carbohydrates. So that would include, well, as we'll talk about later, disaccharides and polysaccharides. Some examples of monosaccharides include glucose, fructose, and galactose. Glucose is a quick energy that is used by us, or humans, and seen in cellular respiration and photosynthesis. These three monosaccharides are all isomers of each other. When you're an isomer, it basically means that you have the same molecular formula, same molecular formula, but different structures. And that's basically what an isomer is. The next class of carbohydrates is disaccharides. Disaccharides are two monosaccharides joined together by dehydration synthesis. Dehydration synthesis is essentially the joining of two monomers. And monomers is a term I haven't used before, so I'll just define it. It's basically the building blocks of all these organic molecules. And a monomer is basically the same thing as a monosaccharide, as it is the building block for all carbohydrates. So dehydration synthesis, as I was saying before, is the joining of two monosaccharides. Basically, here's the chemical formula for it. You have monomer 1 plus monomer 2. And now these monomers could be anything from glucose, fructose to make different and specific disaccharides to make a disaccharide. And the reason it's called a dehydration synthesis is because you lose water. And it makes sense if you think about it. When you're dehydrated, you don't have enough water in your system. So this loss of water affects its chemical formula. So theoretically, you would think that since the chemical formula for a monosaccharide is C6H12O6, that a disaccharide would be C12H24O12. But since you're losing this water right here, it ends up you're losing two hydrogens and an oxygen. So you end up having C12H22O11. And that's the chemical formula for all disaccharides. Some examples of disaccharide include maltose, lactose, and sucrose. And just another thing that you should know, the opposite of dehydration synthesis is hydrolysis, in which you add water to break up disaccharides into monosaccharides. So basically the reverse of this reaction down here. So you'd add water, and then this disaccharide would break apart back into its two monomers. The third and final class of carbohydrates that you should know are polysaccharides. Polysaccharides are basically a bunch of monomers bonded together through dehydration synthesis. While disaccharides were two monosaccharides, polysaccharides are many monosaccharides. There are four main polysaccharides that you should know that you'll definitely see throughout this course, and these four are cellulose, starch, and chitin, and glycogen. The reason I group them into two different colors is that these two, cellulose and starch, are found in plants, while the other two are found in animals. That's a very important distinction that needs to be made, as there was a question on this on my SAT2 exam.